But that being said, I just came from minicamp last week, and I was going through my notes and going through my thoughts and going through stuff that I'd filmed, and I was looking at all of it. And the guy that really, in hindsight, really, really impresses me now, and I try not to, I was talking about this the other day with Grant Cohn. It's like when you know as much about the Niners as guys like you and me and Grant and David and all the people who cover this team regularly, it's hard to like tell yourself, don't have any preconceived notions. Just go out there and report what you see, because we know so many little facts about each one of these guys that it's hard to kind of block out what we know and just tell the audience, oh, this is what I saw. It's difficult because you have all these other preconceived notions. But I tried to do that last week at minicamp. Just tell myself, I don't care, all these different little factoids you may know about the Niners. Just pretend you don't know any of them and go watch this practice like you're just taking it in and you have no idea who any of these guys are. And then just let the best players kind of reveal themselves to you instead of, you know what I'm saying? Instead of like reading the program and saying, this guy's good, that guy's good, and then
like,
trying to justify
Debo's good, expecting, so you go in without any, like,
right. No, Debo's no Ayuk's the best, Debo's the second best. None of that. Just totally, what do I see? What am I, instead of what does my brain tell my eyes what it's seeing? What do my eyes tell my brain what it's watching? You know what I mean? Yeah. And the guy who's so impressive is Cody Schrader.
That's what I like.
He looks real, Raj.
He looks good on film. He looked good in college. He looked good, man.
He's good. I mean, we don't even need to even analyze it anymore. This guy is legit. Yeah. So they timed him at the combine or at the pro day. I don't even think he got invited to the combine. They timed him at the pro day at 4.61. I saw him get loose down the left sidelines on a ball where he on a run where he was like, looked like a little bit of an off tackle play. Mm-hmm. I couldn't really see the whole thing develop. I had some players standing between me and him, but then he got to the sideline and he hit the sideline and just absolutely hit the afterburners and was gone. And I'm sitting there and I forget who was standing there, but I said, that ain't 4.61. I said 4.61, my ass. He may have run 4.61 for the stopwatch, but he ain't 4.61. He's more like.
Some guys have better game speed.
Right. Some guys carry their pads better. Some guys are just faster. Some guys, you put them in a t-shirt and shorts on a track and they look, one speed, and you put them in pads, they look a different speed. And some guys are faster in their pads. Some guys are slower in their pads. Jerry Rice carried his pads exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. But other guys like Vernon Davis ran 4.37 at the combine. He didn't really play to 4.37, not hardly ever. But this kid Schrader, it ran 4.61 at the combine or at the workout. And Raj, this guy's cooking. He's fast and he's got instincts and he's got body lean. He runs with body lean and he's got cutting ability and stop and start and full speed cuts and the whole deal. And I'm watching this guy and I'm thinking, this guy is going to make the team.
I think so.
We haven't seen, my prediction is he's going to look ordinary in camp to the masses, and nobody's going to say jack about Cody Schrader until we get to the preseason. But once we get to the preseason, Raj, and this guy starts rumbling and putting together real good runs, I think it's going to be undeniable at that point that this is an absolute NFL running back. So, if we go with my premise as a fact, which is that Cody Schrader's an NFL back and somehow finds his way on the roster, who doesn't? What running back gets squeezed if Cody Schrader's the real deal?
See, that's the good question. And I've thought about this too, because Cody Schrader looks good. I've seen him play, in real time. I've seen him play, on Saturdays. I watched his film. He's good. He's honestly, he's like a poor man CMC. If you really put it together, like you look at
he loves CMC. He admires, he looks up to CMC. You know who he reminds me of? And I couldn't believe it. I spent all spring wishing for the Niners to draft Blake Corum.
Oh yeah, Blake Corum. Yeah.
And then I sat there and I watched Blake Corum and I'm like, and then watched Cody Schrader and I'm like, dude, This is very much the same guy. Both these guys are 5'8". Both these guys are about 212 to 220 pounds, in that range. They're both short. They both are kind of short-legged, short-armed. They don't look
low center of gravity, but they just
low center of gravity, boom. Full speed cuts, tons of heart, tons of balance. Great. Both these guys have unbelievable what I would call contact balance. So if you bump into them, they don't go down.
Stay up, yeah.
They just you hit them, they keep running. They're just running in a different spot. Corum's a Ram and Schrader's a Niner, but man, I think they're very, very similar. Very similar. And I'm just kind of wondering if Schrader makes it, CMC is going to make it. So there's 2. And I got to think Jordan Mason's going to make it. Maybe not, but that would be 3. And then you got Juice. He's your fullback. So that's 4. So that means, Mitchell and Taylor and Garendo might be battling for one spot.
It's true.
And I don't know how that's going to go. What do you think?
And that's the thing, because like I said, I thought about this because this guy looks good and he's undrafted. He went undrafted, and I think because of the 4.61 speed. Now, it really depends on how Kyle plays this guy, and if Kyle sees him and he sees what you're seeing, again, to the lay eye, we might see, oh, okay, he's okay, whatever. But if
I do believe Kyle will see it.
I think Kyle, and I think that's why he undrafted. Like, Kyle makes a living of getting these late round undrafted players, and if Kyle sees that, and he's like, oh, shit, okay, he might kind of like keep him at bay so he doesn't have to like
bury him.
Yeah, you can bury him a little bit so he can put him on the practice squad. Like, I think he wants to move Cody Schrader into the practice squad, because if he goes out there in preseason and like becomes this preseason warrior, you're gonna have an issue, because he's
not going to clear waivers.
Well, he won't clear waivers. Yeah, you can't. You have to keep him on the roster, and you have a lot of talent at running back, because you're right. Mason, Mitchell, Garendo. You just drafted Garendo in a 4th round pick, right? So you have all this abundance in running backs. To me, it screams they're going to make a trade in like preseason area. Like, I think they're going to make a trade. They've done it before. They had linebackers a couple years ago where they had, and they grabbed 6th, 7th round picks, whatever. I think Jonas Griffin or something.
Jonas Griffith went to Denver.
Denver. I think they're going to do something like that. I think Elijah Mitchell is the odd man out because of the fact he hasn't been able to stay healthy. I like Elijah Mitchell. Kyle loves Elijah Mitchell, but his health has been a question. And I think if they can squeeze a 6th or 7th round pick out of Mitchell, I think they'll be happy. Or Mason too. He's another great player who has a great story, undrafted player, and he made it to the starting roster. But if Schrader's that good and you can't deny it, and he's like the next CMC, then you're going to have to keep him and risk. You can't risk him. If he becomes like that good, he's not going to clear waivers. So I feel with that much depth, you got to make a trade. And if you drafted a running back, Garendo, ahead of Schrader, and you cut him, you're going to look like a bonehead. Kyle doesn't want to look like that. So I think, honestly, there's going to be a trade at running back position when it's all said and done.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think you're absolutely right. When do you see trades? You see trades when the guys that you're going to cut are too good to be cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's when somebody says, you know what? I'll give you a 7th. I'll give you a 7th. Don't put them out there, because if you put them out there, we may get them, we may not get them. We'll give you a 7th so we make sure we get them. And, not that the Niners would want to help this team, but I got to think the Dallas Cowboys are going to get to the end of preseason and they're going to be looking at old man Zeke Elliott, and Pollard has moved on. And what else do they got? They got nothing. Yeah. And Elijah Mitchell went into Dallas in the playoffs a couple of years ago and ran it down their throat, So, and I wouldn't take nothing. I wouldn't give him to Dallas, but I would trade him to Dallas if they want to trade a 5th round pick or something like that.
Yeah.
They got a 4th for Trey. Who knows? I mean, you never know how that's going to go. But that one to me is really interesting.